3 is where most of the work happens. It includes 11 tips. I'll take you through each one, and then you can put what you've learned into practice in the activity worksheets. The first tip is be personal. A lot of bureaucratic writing seems to forget that there are humans involved. By adding a personal pronoun like we and you, you're warming up the language and connecting with your reader. The second tip is keep sentences short. A sentence should have one main idea or focus. Unless you're writing a novel, aim for around 15 to 20 words per sentence and no more than 25 words. Often when you've written the word which in a sentence, it's usually a sign that you can divide the sentence in two. The next tips are about using the active voice and using the passive voice sometimes with care. Sentences in the passive voice are written as object, verb, subject. Sentences in the active voice are written as subject, verb, object. Let's have a look at what we mean. The match was won by our school. Our school won the match. Sam's individual education plan was written by Tracy. Tracy wrote Sam's individual education plan. An assessment of Jake's progress will be made. We will assess Jake's progress. A lot of bureaucratic text is in the passive voice, and you'll notice when you read long passages of it that you tend to lose energy. By contrast, the active voice is more high energy, and you can move through the content more quickly. In plain English, we prefer to use the active voice, but the passive voice still has its purpose. Now let's talk about using everyday words. This is where you get permission to write the way you speak. Sounds simple. Well, it's actually pretty hard because we all get stuck in habits of writing. And some of us might think that we have to use bigger, more complicated words to sound smart. But the truth is, using those big words is pretty off-putting for some readers, especially those who struggle with numbers and letters. So throw out some of your old favourites. Instead of consequently, use so. Instead of commence, use start or begin. Instead of endeavour, use try. There are some really useful lists of everyday words in the guide. The next tip is use vigorous verbs. The aim of plain English writing is to make the actions more direct and strong. To do this, we need to avoid nouns that are made from verbs. For example, we conducted an evaluation of our systems. We evaluated our systems. We will carry out an assessment of the new enrolment process. We will assess the new enrolment process. I'm going to run through the other tips briefly. You'll find more information in the guide. Remove unnecessary words. Watch out for wording that bogs down your message, like, owing to the fact that. Instead, you can say, because. Be consistent. Use the same name for something throughout the document, like activity worksheets or guide. Be specific. Help your reader connect with something they know. Create a picture by using details rather than concepts. Spell out acronyms. Do this the first time you use an acronym. Use questions and answers or FAQs. It's a good way of getting information across. Now it's time to put what you've learned into practice. Work through activities 3, 4, 5 and 6 in your activities worksheets. For activity 6, writing in plain English, you can use your own writing sample.